Wa salatu wa salam Rasulullah wa ba'd in the name of Allah, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger. As to what follows, family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to another matinee with the Feachaz. And before we begin, please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit me up on Patreon. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here, and this particular topic, why did I decide to cover this one? I've been thinking about covering this topic for a long time, but because this topic is a very serious topic, I just don't want to throw myself in there. But now, because this thing happened with Will Smith and everybody's talking about it right now, I said, you know what, let me just give this thing some importance, and inshallah, I want to give my opinion, okay? Not my expertise, because I'm not an expert, but my opinion about this particular issue with regards to mental health, particularly Black men's mental health. Now, if you have kids, this one right here is not going to be for kids. So I would suggest, if your children are around, they should be in school anyways, but but if you have like toddlers around or anything like that, please don't watch this episode around with toddlers. We're going to be talking about some adult issues here, some grown-up stuff, okay? And as it pertains to particularly Black men and mental health. So before we begin, let me just show you what has been going viral. Like, I was reading last night. It's usually after work. I read a little bit and then I'll go to sleep, right? So I was reading last night, and then my wife, she calls me. She's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? Right? She's like, Will Smith, punched Chris Rock or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's like, like, it's not something I'm really interested in, into entertainment type thing, right? That's not something that really interests me. But when I saw it, I said, there's something deeper happening here. And it is actually worthy of talking about and bringing this discussion to the public, right? So let me just cue this up for y'all so we can see it. And language warning, if you're around anybody who shouldn't be listening to bad language, please exit them from the room. So let's get into it.
Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
ウィル・スミスにやられました。
Wow, dude. It was a G.I. Jane joke.
G.I. ジェーンのジョークだったんです。
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was a greatest night in the history of television.
テレビ史上最高の場面でしょうか。
So we are here to give a documentary out, to give an Oscar out.
あら、
Okay, so as you can see, Will Smith was essentially perturbed because Chris Rock had told a joke about Jada Smith. However, there's something that's happening, and it's been happening quite often, more and more in recent times. And we're not just seeing it with Will Smith. Will Smith is the most recent one and the most in-your-face one. But we've seen it happen with Kanye. We've seen it happen with Martin Lawrence. We've seen it happen with all these Black entertainers and athletes, in which they are having some issues with their wives or whatnot, and it's causing intense mental breakdowns. And not only that, when they have these mental breakdowns, particularly Black men, they become memes. So memes were made from Kanye. and his crying, and memes were made from Will Smith with the entanglement situation, and memes were made with Tyrese when he was crying because he haven't seen his children for 2 years. So we're seeing the expression of mental breakdown in a public atmosphere, and these are from the actual elite, you could say, for lack of better words, of Black folk. So if it's happening to them and they have all the resources available at their disposal to help them with their issues, then how much is going on in the Black community that we don't see from just a regular brother or sister in the Black community who doesn't have resources or recourse for help, particularly Black men. Now with Will Smith, what we know about Will Smith is that, like many of our entertainers and our athletes, that the people they put in front of us for examples, he himself came from you could say like a broken home. Okay, his father was abusive. That's all he knew when he was growing up, and his mother eventually left his father. Right, and his father was incredibly, violent towards his mom and his children and whatnot. This is what he grew up seeing. You understand? But it's not just him. We have these issues in the Black community which are widespread, and it stems from slavery to the violence we've seen in Jim Crow, to the breaking down of the family in the 60s. And all the way up until this very day, where we have seen the perpetual and gradual disposal of the Black man from his family. So much so that even those who have resources can't seem to keep it together in the public eye. And when we look at the type of women that these entertainers and athletes, they're the type of women that they are actually marrying, these are not wife material. And why is that important? Like, why do we care who an entertainer marries or who an athlete marries? It's because there is an semblance of programming that's going on with the Black community and what a Black family should be. You understand? Case in point, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. They are always in the public eye, always in the public eye, with Dwayne Wade's son, who's transitioning to become a woman. All of this by Gabrielle Union's doing. And in the wider Black community, we don't find any Black men. Like I personally have not found or seen or witness a Black man talking about, oh yeah, I'm striving to be like Dwayne Wade in my marriage. Like no Black man is thinking this. But you have a lot of support for this from Black women. There's a massive disconnect here. There's a massive disconnect. And that is because of the wider breakdown of the Black family. So Black men now, because we have very few examples of what stability in the public eye looks like in terms of the black family. Or look what they did to Bill Cosby, for example. Okay, look, remember these images. They're not just there for the sake of entertainment, as they say. No, this is actually indoctrination. that is happening. You understand? So the positive images have been weaned out, systemically and systematically weaned out. And if you look at, as I said, if you look at the types of women that, you know, that are being thrown in front of us that are supposed to be wise, as the saying goes, these women are for the streets. Jada Pinkett, I'm sorry, you know, she's for the streets. You know what I'm saying? She for the streets. And she was always been like that. Like Jada Pinkett Smith was, you know, typical, you know, ghetto girl, whatnot. She was like with Tupac and them back in the 90s. Like she was like one of these, like, you know, very beautiful woman that, you know, are just kind of like the type of woman that just men desire. You know what I'm saying? But she was never considered something like marriage material. Kim Kardashian, Kanye West. Kim Kardashian got famous because of sex tapes. That was her claim to fame. She already been married and divorced 3 times before she married Kanye. She for the streets. Gabrielle Union for the streets, you know? And on top of that, she's the man and the woman in that marriage with Dwayne Wade. Can you imagine? This is supposed to be, Dwayne Wade is supposed to be alpha. She is supposed to be an alpha male. Now, I want you to think about this. Where are the examples of these types in any other community? Like, where is the equivalent of Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union in the white community or the Chinese community or the Indian community? There is none. Where's the equivalent of Jada Smith and Will Smith in any other community? There is none. We don't see that. What we see is the dysfunction. And what is clear is that Will Smith, he clearly loves his wife, but there's a deeper issue here. And that is, who are the type of women that Black men are choosing to marry? Who are they? Why are they choosing these types of women? Why are they drawn to the women that have no expertise in actually being a wife, and their only profession or claim to fame is to be eye candy or sexual, sexually talented or things of this nature? Why are Black men drawn to this? And on top of that, when their marriages become fiascos, then they start having mental breakdowns. We've seen how Jada Smith, for the better part of almost 2 years now, has been completely eviscerating and embarrassing Will Smith in public with all kinds of craziness, like just madness. And Will Smith, he's somebody who, you know, who has resources, who's respected, well respected, and no history of violence at all, even when in his younger days. You know, his squeaky clean reputation. And even no history of using foul language, including in his music, including in his rap music. If you listen to his old rap music, because he actually was a rapper before he was an actor, for those who don't know, he never swore, not one time. What has drawn him to go over that edge? Now, I want y'all to watch this, inshallah. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. One second, y'all. Let me just get this up. One second, y'all. There we go. Now watch now.
Oh, man. Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family. In this time in my life, in this moment, I am overwhelmed by what God is calling on me to do and be in this world.
Now, just in the first couple of seconds, there's just a couple of things. Like I said, I'm not a professional, but from what I'm hearing, right? He is trying to express his gratefulness for this award, for that he's receiving for that movie that he did. What's it called? King Richard. Okay, about the Williams sisters, their father, right? So he's receiving an Oscar for this reward. But he said, "In this time of my life," right? When he said that, I didn't go to the Oscar that he's winning, right? I instantly thought about his family, because his family breakdown is very public and very embarrassing. And you can see right now, even on his face, he's not acting. This is all real. He's actually feeling all of these emotions right now. And it wasn't necessarily an issue with Chris Rock, but rather that's just like the straw that kind of broke the camel's back with his personal situation. And we have so much of this in the Black community. And on top of that, no recourse in order to seek help for these issues. You understand? Which is why we have all this dysfunction in the Black community, because it is engineered to be dysfunctional. And many of us participate in boiling the dysfunction of our brothers by talking and backbiting and spreading ill speech and rumors and all this kind of stuff. We participate in that. And I imagine he's a public figure. What about the ones who are not public figures, who get blasted publicly by perhaps their exes or people in the community or whatnot for trivial matters? You feel me? But anyways, let's continue watching.
Making this film, I got to protect Ingenue Ellis, who was one of the strongest, most delicate people I've ever met. I got to protect Sanaya and Demi, the two actresses that played Venus and Serena. I'm being called on in my life to love people and to protect people.
See, right now, when he's saying to protect people, he means his family, because he sees his family breaking up. You understand? So that he's real, like, this is what I'm seeing, right? He loves his family. Like, no matter what we say, what we think about the dynamics of his situation, because it's a really weird dynamics. It's abnormal dynamics. But again, dysfunction in the Black community needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. Because somebody who had like a regular functional mindset in terms of family and whatnot, you don't marry the women that are for the streets. These are not the women that you marry. These are not the types that you marry. But Black men, by and large, seem to be drawn by these types of women, including in Islam. And when you become Muslim, you still trying to get those types. So there's something happening here. And we see the fruits of it in the Black community itself. And on top of that, if you try to address or express yourself or you express your feelings as a Black man, nobody cares. Ain't nobody care about you. You become the next meme. You become the next butt of everybody's jokes. Look at Kanye. And Kanye is a legit bipolar person. He's diagnosed bipolar. And still no mercy for that guy. Anyways, let's continue.
And to be a river to my people. Now, I know to do what we do, you got to be able to take abuse. You got to be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you. And you got to smile, you got to pretend like that's okay. But Richard Williams, and what I loved, thank you, D. Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you.
Right. So I really like that quote from Denzel. Right. It's very deep, and it happens to be very true. Right. But we know in Islam the devil don't sleep anyways. We know in Islam that the devil never takes a nap or takes a rest. And I want Black men to understand that whatever you're going through, and majority of us are going through something, and we were just quiet about it because that's what we've been trained to do. Black men in general have just been like trained to kind of like bury a lot of the deep inner things that are happening with them. And they've been trained to when they express things, they have to express things in an emotional way, like a very emotional, effeminate way, trying to force people by speaking to accept, our positioning or our opinions or whatever. And again, this is from dysfunction and this type of attack on the Black male psyche and being a masculine Black man. You understand? We don't get taught, how to control emotions, how to be stoic, how to, work through trauma and all, like even not just black men, but even black women, like the black community in general. This is like something that is well known, right? We have been put through the furnace of this white supremacist society, burnt, banged up, and left to our own devices, by and large, in the wilderness, to try to figure it out for ourselves. But not just figure it out for ourselves. Even after we were left in the wilderness, we weren't just left in the wilderness, we had the enemy always interfering in our affairs, like all the time. All the time. We always have all kinds of interference. So we now, particularly black men, we need to come together. Like, we need to call each other, ask each other if you're okay, not be judgmental against each other. You know what I mean? Particularly black men. Black women are a lot better at expressing themselves, right? Especially amongst other women, Because sometimes it go, well, a lot of times it goes overboard, but they're much better at that. But black men, not at all, not at all. And there are many things that we have to work through. Now, I want to play this thing by Dave Chappelle, because Dave Chappelle, he talked about this years ago, so many years ago, right? And I want y'all to see what he said. One second, y'all.
When Martin Lawrence was in that chair, we talked about Blue Street.
I love it.
He played a role in your life, I believe. How do you feel about him as a person, as an artist?
Martin Lawrence is the guy that showed everybody you can make it from DC to Hollywood. And I had a personal stake in his success. Every time he did something, it made me feel inspired and really good. And he was always real nice to me. He'd sit me down, "What's going on with you, baby boy? What? We'd talk about comedy, whatever." And, when we did Blue Streak, we were promoting it, and Martin had a stroke. He almost died. And then after that, I saw him, and I was like, "Oh, my God, Martin, are you okay?" And he said, "I got the best sleep I ever got in my life." That's how tough he is. So let me ask you this. What is happening in Hollywood that a guy that tough will be on the street waving a gun, screaming, "They are trying to kill me"?
Yeah.
What's going on? Why is Dave Chappelle going to Africa? Why does Mariah Carey make a $100 million deal and take clothes off on TRL? A weak person cannot get to sit here and talk to you. Ain't no weak people talking to you. So what is happening in Hollywood? Nobody knows. The worst thing to call somebody is crazy, is dismissive. I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. That's bullshit. These people are not crazy. They're strong people. Maybe the environment is a little sick.
Yeah, so when that happened with Will Smith, that's the first thing I thought about, because I remember Dave Chappelle, he talked about this. He said the environment, maybe it's a divider in the environment, and the environment is sick. It is. And we consume a lot of that industry, and then we emulate it in our behaviors. and it is sick. And ironically, and not at the risk of sounding cliche, but the solution is actually Islam, right? At the risk of sounding cliche, the solution is actually Islam. Before you get married, you need to vet the person that you're married, both the men and the women. It should not be done on an individual basis. It should be done on a communal level. And on top of that, we as brothers, we are only as strong as we are, united. If we're not united, then how is it possible for us to be strong? If we don't have each other's backs, and we're very quick to cut each other off, and if we're very quick to insult each other and whatnot, then how is unity ever going to come about? I read the Prince by Machiavelli recently. Okay, so it's something I like to go back to, right? So one of the points that Niccolo Machiavelli he says in his book, he goes, and when you want to take over the smaller communities, it's better to divide them first, because then it's going to be easier to take them over. Right? Divide and conquer. That's what he's talking about. Keep them divided. But once you've taken them over, it's not smart to keep them divided. Because if you do, then the next person that tries to invade you, they'll just go to the invader's side. Right? These Machiavellian tactics have been thoroughly used on the Black community, and we just emulate them. You understand? So whenever people dismiss somebody, we spread it very quickly, without no thought process or anything. I remember when what's his face? Ice Cube. He came out with the agenda for Black America, and he sent it to both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And the Republican Party gave him an audience. And what were Black people saying about Ice Cube without even investigating? Oh, he's a sellout, because it's the time of double Donald Trump, right? No investigation, nothing. And Black people were spreading it. And then you wonder why Black men have these issues, right? Then you wonder why Black men have these issues. A lot of it is self-inflicted. You understand? If you're not humble enough to admit when you made a mistake, or if you're bold enough that every single opinion every single thought in your head, there's no filter, it just goes from your brain to your mouth, and then this is the environment that you grow up in, and you think it's normal, no wonder you have problems. No wonder you have issues. But anyways, I don't want to take too much of your time. We have to stay on code. I just want to say one more thing in terms of particularly the Muslim community at large, is that in the Muslim community we have a lot of these types of failed marriages because of this stuff. No training. We need to humble ourselves and get training in family studies and how to maintain a relationship and these type of things, and as well as counseling. I'm not a fan of just getting married without some type of counseling first. You understand? Or some sort of network, because many of us are converts. So we convert to Islam and we don't have family structure already. You understand? And the wider Muslim community, they're not going to help you in your marriages. So we have to be helping each other, but that doesn't happen. Somebody can come into your marriage and break it up for any reason. And on top of that, there is an element of exploitation in the Black community when it comes to Islamic marriage. And so you find almost like entire community that has been built on social media, particularly Facebook, where you find all these people getting married off of Facebook. And it's the weirdest thing because no other group does this and nobody else thinks this is normal. It's not normal. It's not. It's not. And if you're wondering why your marriage is failing, well, there you go. And then on top of that, you have the nerve to pass the buck to somebody else when really you are a part of the problem. So we have to take a lot of responsibility for ourselves in our own actions, right? And take our mental health very seriously and stop beating down brothers when they have, issues going on. And really stop beating down brothers in general, because you don't know what kind of things are going on in the background with these brothers. And if you want to fuel the fire of mental illness, you need to do no less than to remain on social media. Social media participation is fuel for mental illness. And nobody cares about the mental health of Black men. And we have to have each other's backs, particularly in the Muslim community. We have to have each other's backs. Nobody else is going to have your back. And as Allah says in the Quran, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ, to seek help from Allah with patience and prayer. We need a lot of patience with each other, and we need to pray a lot. And that's all I have for you guys today. I thank everybody for participating with me today. Like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon. Remember, this is your original Black grassroots Muslim media. And I need you guys to help me get these videos out. So the bare minimum you can do is like, subscribe, share, leave comments, and things of that nature. And also you can hit me up on Patreon. سبحانك وبحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأستغفرك وأتوب إليك.